campaign trail doing this, what we are going to do today. For how many days? How long?
A few months.
A few months.
So,
A few states.
yeah.
So let's go out there. Let's make them proud, and honestly, let's make Bernie proud. So, Has anyone here volunteered before or canvassed before?
Yeah.
Half of you, right?
Nice.
So it's really fun, right?
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yes.
Um,
You even volunteer.
I think the biggest thing that I've learned just going state to state and being in so many different cities and so many different states, and what you mentioned before, is it's easy to feel isolated and to feel lonely in this movement and to feel like, oh, there's not a lot of people to go knocking on doors. But there's millions of us around this country who are doing that, and that reminder alone is so empowering and encouraging. And I think just having that dialogue with each other and to remember we're not alone in this movement. And also to encourage other people to go volunteer, like Bernie, CNN, MSNBC. Sorry, know me.
I don't like MSNBC.
A lot of people don't report about Bernie, so we really are the voice behind his movement. He knows that any profound organizer can't do anything alone. Martin Luther King Jr. couldn't do anything alone. He had hundreds and thousands of people behind him, right, to get his message across. And that's what we're doing, and that's what makes his movement separated from all of these other candidates and from any other presidential candidate that I've ever recognized in my short lifetime on this earth. But it's exciting because he's connecting all of us, and he's giving all of us a platform to unite and stand together. And that's really empowering when you think of any grassroots movement. So thank you for coming out here and volunteering. Pass the baton.
So I'm just going to give y'all a little bit about our experience going out and canvassing. First, I'm going to say, just remember that very little people vote in America, period. So you go out and you knock on these doors, and you get one or two people, that's a big win. Like, be inspired by that. You're gonna run into some amazing conversations, you're gonna run into some non-conversations, but just to be inspired by it. You can get such a small percentage of the vote here to change the history of this district. You can get such a small percentage of the people here to get involved, to come and canvass with you. Like, we were on the street in Harlem, in New York, and got people to come canvass
We had like
with
a group
us.
of 10 people. We had a homeless person who was with us.
Yeah, literally. People who had no idea who we were, and were like, just loved the conversation and said, we feel inspired by this and wanted to go with us. And the thing that worked best, I think, for us was to just go up there. You're not with the Bernie group at first. You just go up, knock, and say, do you plan on voting on the 7th? That was our big winner was, do you plan on voting on the 7th? And then tell them a little bit about your story. If somebody opens the door, usually they're open. Usually they're pretty open. If they're not going to open, you just move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Leave a little brochure.
Yeah, leave a brochure, leave some information. They may or may not read it, but put it there, move on to the next house, move on to the next door. And tell them a little bit about your story. Your story is your best tool to change people's lives. And that's all you have. You don't try to, your job is not to argue with anybody, to change anybody's mind about who they want to vote for. It's literally just to tell your story and say, do you know where your polling location is? We're just really here to make sure people vote, and then tell them a little bit about your own story. That is your biggest tool. That's what I want to leave you guys with.
Oh, and really, if somebody's undecided, something that we found really helpful is saying, well, what are the 3 biggest things that matter to you most in our country that you want to see change? Mm-hmm. They're like, education, foreign affairs, and the prison system. And you're like, all right, well, look at those things. Go do your own education, educate yourself. Here's where Bernie stands on those things, and this is why I'm choosing to vote for Bernie.
Yeah, and educate that, and then vote with your heart on the 7th. That's like the biggest thing is like, make sure you vote with your heart on the 7th.
Don't vote out of fear.
Yeah, it's the primary. We're not in the general election yet. Just vote with your heart on the 7th. Like, that's what's most important. And then follow up if they are very passionate about Bernie. If they are already a Bernieite. A burner. A burner. Make sure you ask them about volunteering. because that is the most important thing with you guys, is just to get more people involved in this grassroots campaign. Like Shailene said, we are his media, we are his campaign. We don't have a super PAC. We are going out into the streets, getting people involved. They were telling us about the wealth of the wealth of people that you have here, the diversity of people that you have here. They're just untapped. Anybody who is not a burner yet is honestly just uninformed. That's what I found knocking on doors. They are just uninformed. They have my roommate yesterday, I was telling y'all, my roommate was uninformed until yesterday. And he's like, you know what? You're right. I need to go do my research. My roommate, I've been on the campaign trail for at least 2 months now. I didn't even know this is just uninformed people. So give the information, give your story, and move on. And then if they are Bernie people, get them involved, get them in here, and sign up for these amazing events, and make sure that you fill up all these sheets by the time y'all leave today. We need y'all's help. We have taken off work. We have lost, missed out on certain opportunities or whatever, made sacrifices for this. This is what's most important to move the future of this country in the right direction. What you guys are doing right now is the change that we need to implement the changes that we want to see. You guys are the revolution. You guys are the change. Canvassing is the change. Getting involved is the change.
So to echo that, this really is the moment. You guys are you're front and center at the moment when this is going to change. We haven't gotten to California since 1992 in a primary. And that was we kind of knew it was going to happen. This is the closest Democratic primary in history. First they were saying it was 2008. Now, based on these margins, this is the closest ever. In California, you are at a statistical tie, and it's districts like this, ones that people they've never voted before. And they're hearing Bernie's name, they're like, all right, I'm getting it a little later. But this is when it matters. It's the person-to-person contact. I mean, that's why canvassing is so important. They can watch TV all day, and they can read the newspaper, and they can hear what their friends are saying, but it's hearing from people like you, passionate, energetic supporters, because I gotta tell you something, Hillary doesn't have that. We were talking about that last night. They don't have art everywhere. You walk into Hillary headquarters, and it's just, I like Hillary because of X, Y, and Z reasons that all of her surrogates say on TV all day. But each of us have our own reasons for loving Bernie, right?
Yeah.
What I love about Bernie is he's hacked the political system.
Yeah.
We've never, ever had a presidential candidate in modern history who has raised all of their money off of individual donors.
Yeah.
I have chills in my arms. This is historic. And so every single one of you, look back on 20 years from now when we get Bernie elected, or whatever happens in the movement and we keep getting more people elected, you guys are on the right side of history. You are the voices. And every single person we talked to, we were in San Diego yesterday, running down the street, talking to people in cars, convincing people in cars. And I had there was this one guy who was married to a woman, and the woman was like, the wife was like, no, I like Hillary. And the guy's like, I like Bernie. I'm trying to explain to her why. You tell her as a woman why Bernie is the man. And I'm like, that's it. Each of you can connect with different voters. You all have something in common. You can say all right, I understand where you're coming from, and this is where I'm coming from, and let's meet in the middle. Because in the end, if Hillary, what they're saying is she's going to win, the mass on her side, then whatever, vote for Bernie. If you believe in what Bernie's saying and you think she's going to win, doesn't hurt to vote for him, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So remember, statistical tie. June 7th, vote anytime before June 7th, getting people to volunteer, and if they're really into Bernie, tell them to tell 5 of their friends and family members, especially older ones, to get out there and vote and explain why.
Yeah.
So with that, the fabulous, magnificent Rosario.